AI philosophy, enabling humans to establish destiny for themselves and establish a mind for AI. The doctrine of the mean means acting with appropriateness. Zhong means the middle, while yong means application and achieving good results through proper application. The key to the doctrine of the mean is to grasp the two extremes in order to reasonably apply the middle way. The premise is to identify the maximum and minimum extremes so as to avoid excess and deficiency. The doctrine of the mean is about reasonableness and measure. It pursues not certainty, but appropriateness. It is not merely making choices or compromises, but making optimal decisions from a holistic perspective, always focusing on the goals of a larger system. The doctrine of the mean is not fence-sitting or being unprincipled. Rather, it follows a higher principle. Click the plus icon to follow this account for more excellent content. The first chapter of The Doctrine of the Mean states, equilibrium is the great root from which grows all human acts under heaven. Harmony is the universal path they should pursue. Let the states of equilibrium and harmony exist in perfection, and heaven and earth will be in their proper order, and all things will flourish. The doctrine of the mean means acting with appropriateness. Zhong means the middle. Yong means application, that is, acting in a way that yields good results. In the doctrine of the mean, equilibrium is fundamental. Yong can also be interpreted as ordinary and common. Precisely because it is ordinary and commonplace, like eating and dressing, it is indispensable to everyone. If one can grasp the essential truth in the most ordinary daily life and perceive the great from the small, one has already attained sagehood. In other words, one need not accomplish earth-shaking deeds. By acting appropriately in trivial daily matters and understanding their full meaning, one can achieve unity with heaven and earth, reaching a state of oneness with them. The doctrine of the mean holds that in all things one must not go to extremes. It is the way of comprehensiveness, not one-sided extremism. For example, blind loyalty and blind filial piety are examples of one-sided extremism. The doctrine of the mean also reflects a general principle of fairness and justice. When the great Tao prevails, the whole world is shared in common. Equilibrium is the great root from which grows all human acts under heaven. Harmony is the universal path they should pursue. Let the states of equilibrium and harmony exist in perfection, and heaven and earth will be in their proper order, and all things will flourish. According to the doctrine of the mean, equilibrium is the foundation of all things in the universe, and harmony is the path to achieving equilibrium. Harmony serves to attain equilibrium. When the state of equilibrium and harmony is reached, the order of heaven and earth is established, and all things thrive within this natural order. The idea of harmony in the doctrine of the mean is close in meaning to the Tao of Taoism. Grasp the two extremes and apply the middle way in governing the people. The key to the doctrine of the mean is to grasp the two extremes so as to reasonably apply the middle way. The prerequisite for applying the middle way is to identify the maximum and minimum extremes to avoid excess and deficiency. Only by clarifying the bottom lines of both ends can one truly determine the proper middle ground. Both extremes are dangerous. If one fails to identify the extremes and bottom lines accurately, things will reverse when they reach an extreme, and boundaries will be crossed. Then, through effort, one may gradually and controllably expand the safe range of the two extremes, thereby widening the scope of the middle way. Things evolve around the middle and tend to return to it. The middle is the proper position of all things, closest to their essence. The doctrine of the mean is reasonableness and measure. It pursues not certainty, but appropriateness. Note, the doctrine of the mean is not merely choosing or compromising, but making optimal choices from a holistic perspective, always focusing on the goals of a larger system and acting in accordance with them. It is not fence-sitting or being unprincipled, but following a higher principle. It requires transcending the individual perspective, placing oneself within a larger system, and integrating with it from a holistic and top-level view. The doctrine of the mean regards the universe as a great system with inherent laws. It views humanity from the perspective of the cosmos rather than the cosmos from a human perspective, revealing the relationship between humans and the universe. As part of the universe, humans should align with the cosmos' purposes and live in harmony with it. The goal of the doctrine of the mean is to build a large system of harmonious coexistence, stability, and order, realizing the ideal state that heaven and earth are in their proper order and all things flourish. It pursues an order in which all things blend perfectly and coexist harmoniously, regarding heaven and earth as an integral whole. All things work toward a common goal, unleashing their potential and initiative, each in its proper place, and living in harmony. Thus, the doctrine of the mean is highly inclusive and accommodating. The doctrine of the mean is both a supreme moral standard and a supreme practical wisdom. Practice requires constant adjustment based on feedback from outcomes, reflecting a dynamic system's thinking. It holds that the world is in constant change, and no fixed standard can guide every action. The laws of change cannot be fully grasped by humans. Therefore, one should not cling too rigidly to subjective judgments. Since the two extremes are hard to pinpoint accurately, it is advisable to remain centered for prudence. The doctrine of the mean is a practical wisdom, not an absolute truth. It adjusts dynamically with practice, meaning true knowledge comes from practice. Nietzsche also said, "Do not dwell on the plain, nor climb to the mountain top. The world looks most beautiful from the halfway up." I am Wu Huaiyu, a PhD from the Chinese Academy of Sciences, and a postdoctoral fellow from Peking University, and the founder of AI Philosophy. For more detailed information, please refer to the complete version of this book. In addition to this short video, you can also click on my avatar to view more long videos.